Hey y'all, so there's something I want to talk about tonight that I was thinking about yesterday. It's probably gonna piss some people off, but that's okay. Um, I would rather piss you off and get you thinking, hopefully, if you're not too deep in your emotions. So just leave your emotions aside for a second and just listen. Okay, so this all ties back to a video that I was doing about how we as a society don't see ourselves as valuable. Collectively, we do not see ourselves as valuable unless we are giving something to the collective. We don't see ourselves as inherently valuable. So I was watching a video about this woman. She was talking about her IVF story. Now, for me, for perspective, I personally have no desire to have kids ever. It's something that I've never wanted, even as a child. Like some people say when they were kids, "Oh, I always want to be a mother." That was never me. I actually found kids to be really exhausting, even as a child, and I was exhausting. But anyways, she was talking about her IVF journey and all the things that her and her husband were going through, all the money they spent. I think they had to do like 2 rounds, and I was just curious just to see what it was like. Like, what do people go through when they go through that? And in my mind, I'm thinking, like, why would anybody want to put themselves through that just to have a baby? Um, I personally don't understand the desire for children. And the reason for that is because I see all that all that goes into having children. People think having children is just being able to provide for them, having a roof over their head, being able to be parents. Some people don't even think of that. But honestly, it's kind of disturbing to me that people don't think of that. Like, people don't see that you are literally making a sacrifice. Like, you're literally sacrificing your life for someone else. Like, people don't see it as that. They don't see it as I'm literally giving up my life and what it is that I wanted to do as one person to be able to raise a child. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. And then when they become parents, there's like this underlying level of resentment. And then it's like, well, I had to do all this for you. So I don't know. It's a nasty little cycle that I see people go through. But anyways, this is different. But yeah, I was watching her through talk about the IVF journey. And I'm thinking, why would anybody want to put themselves through that? Especially when there are millions and millions of children who have no one at all. And I think her and her husband had been trying for like 7 or 8 years and decided to go through the IVF journey. And she was pregnant at the time, which that's a good thing for her. But I just find it interesting that when people think about adoption, they think about it as a last resort. They don't want to get a mixed bag. They, in their minds, they don't know what they're getting into, when in reality, you don't know what you're getting into, even when you have a child. Even if you feel like that child is a part of you, you still never know how that's going to turn out. And it's even more prevalent in children who have issues. And it's just, I don't know, it's just kind of disturbing to me. I understand the desire to want to see yourself outside of yourself. I can see why that would be appealing to people, to want to meet yourself all over again in a child. But to not see other children as a part of you either, it kind of ties back into that thing where I don't see myself in the homeless person on the street, or I don't see myself in the rich person on the street, or the person who's the cashier. Like, we don't see ourselves in each other. We don't value our own life as valuable in itself, nor do we see that value in others. That's why we can walk around and live lives where It's okay for there to be homeless people. It's okay for there to be children with no family. It's okay for people to be struggling and other people to be extremely opulent. I saw like this is random. I saw a little table of like all the richest people in the world and all the different countries. And I'm like, if everyone on earth, number one, who created all this money? It inherently has whatever value we give to it, but whatever. But if everyone on earth is what, like 7 billion, 8 billion people now on earth, if everyone on earth got $500 million, just $500 million, just 500 million, there would still be a ridiculous amount of money left over. You get what I'm saying? Like, it it's nonsensical to me. And I participate in it. And that also makes me sick. Like, I can see myself getting in accord with it. And that kind of disgusts me. And when it comes to children, how people will go through all of this to have them. They'll like, and when it doesn't work, it's almost like a competition. Like, oh, this didn't work the first round, so we got to try again. We have to get it again. Why? Is it really because this is something that you really wanted? If you couldn't get it, say it didn't work at all, and you didn't have a child, then you would have to fall back on adopting. It's like, oh, well, I guess we'll have to adopt this other children. These other children that are somebody else's problem, not mine, because, they're not mine. It's just really disturbing. Now, me talking about all this is not putting down IVF, not putting down adopting or not adopting. It's just an observation as to how our society is so disconnected. We're so disconnected from ourselves and how we don't see ourselves. And it's funny because I'm single, I've never been married, I don't have children, and I often get family members, friends, or just random people ask me, when are you going to get married? When are you going to have children? Yet 9 out of 10 people, I'll be generous, I'll say 7 out of 10 people of those same people who would ask me that question would also tell me to never get married. Which is crazy. Like, you're asking me, oh, are you with somebody? Are you this? Are you that? But they themselves wouldn't recommend marriage. And a lot of people don't even like their spouse. Like, they just live with them because we're here and it's convenient. And if we split up, it would be too much. If we have kids, how I'm going to be. It's just, and don't get me wrong, I love marriage. I would love to have a life partner one day. But it's just really ironic how we uphold these things that we also don't like. Or people would say, do you ever plan to have children? And you say no. And they're like, why? And not having children is selfish. Who's going to take care of you when you're old? So you mean to tell me that you having children to have someone take care of you when you're old is not selfish and self-serving? And who's to say that they will? Who's to say they'll be alive to do so? Who's to say they'll want to? Who's to say they will? Who's to say they'll, even if they want to, have the capability to do so? None of us know what's going to happen when we're older. I have no idea. But I do trust that whatever happens, it'll be for my best and my highest. That's all any of us can say. But to say not having children means you're selfish. So I'm selfish because I realize that I don't have the ability to give a child all that they need. And I'm not just talking about money and a roof and a physical good life. I mean the emotional intelligence, the emotional capability to really be there for them. If I were to have kids, I would actually want to be in their life and not running out the door every morning and coming home angry and just trying to hurry up and get to the car and hurry up and make their food and just frustrated the whole time. Like, oh, these kids are getting on my nerves. And it's like, oh, it's just so much. And I'll be like, I love my kids, but it's a lot. Yeah. I think people, I think postpartum depression is definitely a hormonal thing, but I also think what people don't take into account is that it is a grieving process. You're grieving the life you just lost in exchange for this new life. You're grieving the fact that your life now surrounds one person, or if you have multiple children, your life now surrounds these little people for the rest of your life. And for the rest of your life, as long as they're here, it'll never be about you. It'll always be about them and what you can do for them because you chose to have them. Or if you didn't choose to have them, they're here. So now they didn't ask to be here, but they are here. And they don't owe you anything, ever. Because they didn't choose to be here, just like you didn't choose to be here. Nobody owes anybody anything. We only ever make the decision to give because we want to. And I know that for me, that's not a good decision because I wouldn't be able to be there for them the way they deserve to be cared for. That's actually really selfless because I see all the potential issues in ways that I could not serve them. So I'm doing the non-children a service by not traumatizing them for the rest of their life. You're welcome. But it's just so interesting. Even in that statement, who's going to take care of you when you're older? Or that's a selfish statement. Even in that also devalues you as a person. The person that devalues the person that is being said to, and it also devalues the person that is saying it. Because again, if you're having children just to have someone take care of you, obviously that's selfish. And that means that you don't feel like the universe would bless you with love. It's really sad. Just how the cycle of perpetuated ideals that doesn't serve anybody really, except for the people who really, really desire that, who really feel like they actually are. This one. Don't you want to, men will say this more than women. Don't you want to leave a legacy? So you mean to tell me that you as a person, the people you touch, the people you talk to, the people you interact with, that's not your legacy? You have to have another child to perpetuate your shit on to leave a shit legacy. Because that's really a lot of what I see is people perpetuating their traumas on their kids, and that's the legacy. I've seen it in my family. I've seen it in other people's families. The legacy that I leave is the life where what I would hope is at the very least I get people to think beyond what they've been told. Get to think beyond the programming, how they've been raised. Get them to see that life can be different. Life can be beyond hustle, grind, husband, children. But there's an actual value in yourself without you having to do anything. Your value is inherent, absolute. It is an axiom of your life. I feel like our only directive here was to exist, and whatever we decide to do with that is up to us. But I don't feel like many people know that. I think if more people knew that, they would value themselves differently. They would value each other differently. And it disturbs me how we see our neighbors, and I'm in this too, we see our neighbor's problem as someone else's problem. We see other humans as other and not me. Not that this can be me, this could happen to me, but beyond happening to me, this person is me because we're all one thing. If we all understood that we're all one thing, everything would be different. Everything would be different. There would be no above, below, higher, or lower than somebody else's. And we all have something to give. Not everybody is meant to have children. Not everybody should have children, in my opinion. And a lot of people are meant to have children and take care of children. And I think that because of this type of programming, those children never get to see the people that they deserve to have in their life. And the person who has the gift to give them never does. So while a person is trying so hard to create this life, actively going through all of these trials to create this life, you might miss that you are supposed to be a blessing to someone who's already here. And I think that's all I have to say. Bye.